The galaxy was wide and endless, filled with shining stars, giant planets, and ancient civilizations that had ruled the void for thousands of years. Yet one world, small and blue, was kept under chains it could not see. That world was Earth. Humanity could see the stars above every night, burning like silver fire in the sky, but they were not allowed to touch them. The great alien empires had made their decision long ago. Humanity was too dangerous, too unpredictable, too hungry for freedom. The stars were forbidden. The skies were locked. At first, most humans did not know the truth. They believed they were simply too weak, too behind in science, too small to join the galaxy. They thought their rockets failed because of accidents, their stations burned because of errors, their dreams shattered because of poor design. But it was not failure, it was control. Every rocket that rose from Earth's surface was met by unseen hands. Alien patrols cloaked in the void waited to strike. Satellites disappeared. Explorers vanished. Colonies were destroyed before they even began. Humanity reached up, and the galaxy slapped their hand away. Those in power on Earth, leaders, generals and scientists, slowly learned the truth. Whispers came from broken transmissions, from captured fragments of alien code. Humanity was being watched. Humanity was being caged. The stars were a prison wall, and Earth was the cell. It was a truth too terrible to share with the people. So leaders lied. They said missions failed for technical reasons. They said resources were too scarce. They said the time was not right. But behind those lies, deep underground, plans were being written. A secret name was spoken in locked rooms and dark tunnels. Project Zeus. Even as the world above turned, Project Zeus was buried deeper. Scientists who could not accept failure were taken in secret. Engineers who asked too many questions vanished from public view. They were brought into caverns filled with strange machines, into laboratories powered by stolen energy, into places where silence was enforced. There, in the dark, the seeds of rebellion were planted. Humanity might have been denied the stars, but they would not stay denied forever. The aliens believed they had broken humanity. They believed humans would accept their prison, accept their weakness, accept their place as children staring through the bars at the sky. But humans had never been good at obeying. Across history, whenever they were pushed down, they rose again. Whenever they were told no, they shouted yes. And now, trapped under the shadow of empires, humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever before. The forbidden sky was not just an order. It was a challenge, and challenges were made to be broken. Children grew up hearing stories of lost rockets and fallen explorers. They asked their parents why humanity could not join the stars. The parents gave soft lies, saying Earth was not ready. But in their hearts, the fire grew. Soldiers in quiet rooms swore that one day they would fight among the stars. Pilots dreamed of flying beyond the atmosphere and never returning. Ordinary men and women stared at the night sky and whispered to themselves, one day. The alien fleets did not see this fire. They only saw a silent planet still trapped in its gravity well. They thought Earth had surrendered. They thought humanity had given up. That was their first mistake. In the deserts of Earth, far from cities, test engines roared beneath the sand. In the frozen north, bunkers shook with the hum of machines that no alien eye had ever seen. In the deepest oceans, secret stations harvested energy in silence. All of it fed one name, one hope, one dream, Project Zeus. But no one outside the project knew what it was. Was it a ship? Was it a weapon? Was it something more? Those who worked on it did not speak. They carried the burden in their hearts, and many never returned home. To the world above they were missing, lost, forgotten. But below, they built the key that would one day shatter the prison. And yet, fear was everywhere. The galaxy's empires were powerful beyond measure. They had weapons that could split moons. They had ships larger than cities. If Earth was discovered building something forbidden, the punishment would be swift and final. Humanity could be erased in a single day. That fear hung over every worker, every soldier, every scientist. But the fear did not stop them. It only hardened their resolve. The forbidden sky grew heavier with each passing year. Every failed launch, every destroyed satellite, every burning wreck reminded humanity of their chains. But in the shadows, the chain breaker was being forged. The question was no longer if, it was when. No alien knew the exact day, the exact hour, or the exact storm that would rise. But Earth knew, humanity knew, and those who looked at the stars with burning eyes knew. The forbidden sky was only the beginning, for in the dark, lightning was waiting, Project Zeus was waiting, and when it awoke, the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity lived under an invisible chain. The people of Earth did not see the ships that watched them from above, did not hear the voices that judged their every step, but the chain was there. The alien empires had agreed. Humanity must remain small, locked within one world. They feared that if humans reached the stars, the balance of power would break. And so, they kept the sky closed. Every time a rocket rose, alien eyes marked it. Patrol ships hidden behind the moon waited like hunters. If the rocket was small, they let it fall by its own weakness. If it was strong, they destroyed it with precision, leaving only broken metal to burn in the atmosphere. To the world below, it looked like failure. To the scientists, it was humiliation. To the galaxy, it was control. Governments on Earth made excuses. They said humanity was not ready. They said there were too many dangers in space. They said it was better to stay safe, to look inward, to live within the planet's limits. But the truth was darker. Leaders knew that to speak openly of the chains would cause panic. People would riot, soldiers would rise, chaos would break the planet apart. So the secret was buried. The silence itself became another chain. But silence never lasts forever. Deep underground, whispers turned into plans. Those who worked on Project Zeus began to understand their true purpose. It was not simply to build a weapon, not simply to resist. It was to break the chain. The aliens thought they had time. They believed humanity's spirit could be smothered. For centuries, they had not learned the first lesson of Earth's history. When humans are pressed down, they do not surrender. They grow sharper. Still, the aliens tightened their hold. They sent hidden agents to Earth disguised as merchants, as teachers, even as allies. Their task was simple: weaken humanity from within, spread doubt, slow progress, whisper that the stars were too far, too costly, too dangerous. And humanity listened. Many believed the lies. Many gave up hope. That was the second chain: despair. But not everyone bent to despair. There were pilots who remembered the broken rockets and swore, vengeance. There were engineers who refused to believe in failure. There were children who grew up staring at the stars and felt the weight of the chains pressing against their dreams. These were the seeds of rebellion, though they did not yet know it. Meanwhile, the alien council grew confident. They believed. Their control was total. Reports from Earth described a tired, broken people. The humans were building their cities, fighting their small wars, wasting their energy on politics and greed. To the alien empires, humanity looked harmless. That was their third mistake, for Project Zeus was not built in the light. It was not shown in parades or spoken of in speeches. It was forged in hidden factories beneath mountains, where the ground itself shook from the thunder of engines. It was carved in caverns where lightning was captured and stored in giant coils. It was shaped by hands that worked in silence, never knowing if their next breath would be their last. For discovery meant death. Yet even the builders did not know the full design. They only knew their part. A scientist in the north worked on power, an engineer in the east designed armor. A programmer in the west shaped code that no alien could read. All of it fed into a design that was kept locked away, seen only by a handful of leaders. Those leaders carried the weight of an entire world, knowing that one mistake could bring extinction, and so the chain grew heavier. Not just for the aliens who tightened it, but for the humans who bore it. Each failed mission was another link. Each false excuse was another shackle. But in the shadows, something stronger than the chain was being born. One night, far above Earth, an alien patrol ship intercepted a strange burst of energy. It was small, hidden deep within the planet's crust, but it carried a frequency the Yao aliens had never seen. The report was filed. The commanders studied it. They dismissed it as nothing. That was their fourth mistake. For that small burst of energy was the heartbeat of Project Zeus. The chains were still wrapped around Earth. The skies were still forbidden. Humanity still walked with heads bowed, pretending to accept their prison. But the storm was building. The humans who worked in silence knew what was coming. They looked at their families and could not speak. They looked at the night sky and felt both pain and fire. They knew the day would come when the chains would break. And when they broke, the sound would not be a whisper. And now, they were ready to break the greatest one of all. The night was quiet over Earth. Cities slept, oceans moved in silence, and the stars above looked cold and distant, like jewels trapped in black glass. Humanity stared at those stars, with longing, but also with bitterness. They had been told they could never reach them. They had been chained to their world, mocked by empires that claimed the heavens for themselves. But deep underground, far below mountains and oceans, silence was breaking. A hum began. It was soft at first, almost too faint to notice. It echoed through steel tunnels, rattled hidden machines, and shivered across the bones of men and women who had given everything to this moment. They stood in dark control rooms, watching monitors flicker with strange symbols. They whispered no words, for words were not needed. They all knew what this sound meant. Project Zeus was stirring. The hum grew stronger, until it shook dust from ceilings and lit sparks in the air. The walls trembled, but the people stood firm. They had worked for decades to reach this moment, risking discovery, risking death, risking everything. Now the storm was waking. Far above, in orbit, alien patrol ships noticed the first tremors of energy. Their sensors screamed warnings, strange readings unlike anything in their archives. Captains demanded explanations. Engineers searched their data. Was it a weapon? Was it a natural event? They did not know. All they knew was that something powerful was rising from beneath Earth's crust. And then came the lightning. Bolts of white fire shot up from hidden towers, piercing the sky. They tore through clouds, blinding even the stars for a heartbeat. Satellites short-circuited. Alien ships staggered as their systems failed. The atmosphere itself rumbled with thunder, so loud that even those asleep in distant cities awoke in terror. It was not natural lightning. It was controlled. It was alive. It was the heartbeat of Project Zeus roaring into the heavens. From the mountains, a shape rose. It was massive, larger than any human-built structure, forged in secret across decades. A warship unlike any ever seen by man or alien. Its armor gleamed with stormlight, charged by the very energy of the planet itself. Its engines pulsed with a glow like captured suns. Its design carried the fury of an entire species denied for too long. This was no simple vessel. This was a declaration. The patrol fleets panicked. Orders were shouted across channels. Weapons, armed, targeting systems locked, and beams of plasma cut through the night sky, striking at the rising figure. But the warship did not fall. The bolts of fire bent, twisted, and vanished into the storms that surrounded its hull. And then, with a roar that split the heavens, the lightning struck back. Alien cruisers exploded in silence, fire blooming in the void. Frigates scattered, their engines burning as the storm tore through them. The patrol fleets had expected another fragile rocket, another weak attempt from a world still crawling. What they faced instead was a god of thunder, a machine born not just of science but of rage. On Earth, billions looked up in shock. For the first time they saw it with their own eyes. Project Zeus, their hidden hope, their whispered legend, now rising into the sky. Some wept, some cheered, some fell to their knees in disbelief. Humanity had broken the chain. Humanity had answered the denial with defiance, but Project Zeus was not finished. The ship's core pulsed brighter, feeding on storms drawn from the atmosphere itself. Clouds spun like whirlpools. Lightning arced across the globe. The alien fleets sent reinforcements, vast armadas racing from distant outposts. Yet even as they came, they felt it. The storm was not just a weapon. It was alive. It was aware. It was humanity's fury, given form. In the warship's command center, human officers stood at their stations. Their faces were pale, but their eyes burned with determination. For years they had hidden. For years they had lied. For years they had pretended to accept the chains. Now, they commanded the storm. "Project Zeus is awake," the commander whispered, though his voice shook with awe. "The sky is no longer forbidden." The alien council received the first reports hours later. Entire fleets shattered. Patrols gone. Earth glowing with storms that could tear apart warships in seconds. Panic spread through their chambers. For centuries they had denied humanity the stars. They had believed Earth was small, weak, ignorant. But the humans had waited, endured, and prepared. The denial was over. In every shadow of the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Traders carried the news. Smugglers shouted it in hidden bars. Soldiers whispered it in fear to one another. A single phrase echoed across the void. "The humans have awakened. The storm has risen." And as Project Zeus tore open the night sky, the galaxy finally understood the truth. Humanity had not been broken. Humanity had only been waiting. The galaxy had never seen storms like these. From the surface of Earth, the sky boiled with fire. Clouds twisted into black spirals charged with thunder that never ended. Lightning split the heavens, striking not at the ground but upward, toward the fleets that once ruled the skies. Project Zeus moved through the storm like a predator. Its massive hull glowed with blue fire, every panel alive with the energy of captured lightning. Alien warships tried to regroup, sending volleys of plasma and fire across the sky, but their weapons bent, burned, and vanished in the storm clouds that shielded the human vessel. Every shot they fired became another spark feeding the monster. And then Project Zeus struck. Bolts of lightning longer than mountains leapt from its hull, tearing through alien cruisers like paper. Ships shattered in silence, breaking apart into glowing debris that fell like dying stars. Frigates turned to molten metal in seconds. Even the mighty battleships, vessels that had once terrified entire civilizations, were torn open, their cores exploding in white flame. On Earth, the people watched in awe. For generations, they had been told they were too weak, too small, too late to claim the stars. Yet here it was. Their answer, their fury, their vengeance unleashed against those who caged them. Entire cities stopped to watch the sky. Strangers held hands. Children pointed and shouted. Old men who had lived their lives in despair now wept with joy. Humanity had not only risen, they had struck back. In the command chamber of Project Zeus, human officers worked in silence. Their faces were tense, their hearts heavy, but their eyes burned with a single truth. This was not just defense. This was justice. Every destroyed ship was a broken chain. Every alien retreat was a wound healed. For too long, the galaxy had denied them their birthright. Now humanity was taking it back with thunder. The alien council sent urgent orders. Entire fleets were recalled. Reinforcements raced from distant systems. Thousands of ships converged on Earth. The galaxy believed that sheer numbers would crush the storm. But as they gathered, they began to realize the truth. Project Zeus was not a ship. It was a weaponized force of nature. The closer they came, the more their sensors failed, their engines sputtered, their weapons misfired. The storm reached into their systems, tearing them apart from within. Still, the aliens fought. They fired endless salvos, filling the night sky with explosions. But Project Zeus answered with fury. Whole formations vanished in lightning storms that moved like living creatures. It was not war as they knew it. It was execution. On the ground, leaders of Earth watched the battle unfold through trembling screens. Some wanted to celebrate. Some wanted to weep. Others whispered fears. What if this power was too great, too uncontrollable? What if Project Zeus became not their savior but their destroyer? Yet none could deny what they saw. For the first time, humanity was not prey. They were the hunters. Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. News traveled faster than fleets. Worlds whispered to each other. The humans had a storm that could kill fleets in seconds. Merchants closed their ports. Soldiers deserted. Even empires began to argue in their councils, unsure whether to fight or to flee. Still, the bravest or the most foolish chose to resist. They launched their greatest armadas, thousands of ships strong, converging on Earth to crush the storm. The night turned bright with their engines, the stars themselves drowned by their numbers. Humanity faced not one enemy but all of them together. And still Project Zeus rose to meet them. The great ship hovered above Earth, its hull glowing brighter than the sun. Lightning wrapped around it like chains broken free, stretching into the void. Then, with a single roar of thunder that echoed across space itself, it unleashed the storm. Armadas burned. Fleets shattered. Battleships the size of cities cracked in half. The galaxy had never known fear like this. It was not only the power of the storm, it was the will of the humans behind it. Every bolt carried generations of rage, of loss, of dreams denied. This was not just war. It was wrath. And yet, amidst the chaos, humanity did not chase blindly. The storm moved with precision, striking those who stood against them but sparing those who fled. The message was clear. Earth was not here, and the storm had only just begun. The storm was over, but its echoes still shook the galaxy. Wreckage drifted in silence above Earth, burning fragments of fleets that once thought themselves untouchable. Alien patrols that had ruled the skies for centuries were nothing but broken steel and fading fire. Humanity had done the impossible. The chains that bound Earth were shattered. The forbidden sky was no longer forbidden. On the surface, billions of humans stood in awe. They had seen their world rise in thunder. They had witnessed Project Zeus awaken not just as a weapon but as a promise. Children who once whispered about rockets now shouted about warships. Elders who had spent lifetimes in despair felt tears on their faces as they realized they had lived to see freedom. Humanity had been denied the stars, but no denial lasted forever. In orbit, Project Zeus hovered like a titan of storms. Its engines glowed with captured lightning, its hull still alive with arcs of energy that crawled across the armor. The great ship carried scars from battle, burned plating, shattered fins, and deep cracks across its structure. But it stood. It endured. It was proof that Earth's will could not be broken. Alien fleets across the galaxy hesitated. Reinforcements arrived only to witness the silence left behind. Commanders argued in confusion. Should they attack again? Should they retreat? The question cut through every mind. If humanity could build this in secret, what else were they hiding? The Council of Empires, who once laughed at Earth, now sat in fear. Their halls filled with arrogance turned cold and silent. They replayed the battle again and again, watching their ships fall like leaves in a storm. They had believed humanity was weak, predictable, easy to chain. Now they faced a truth they could not ignore. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was storm-born. But the galaxy feared something more than weapons. They feared what humanity would become now that the chains were broken. Would they rise in vengeance, burning worlds as payback for centuries of denial? Or would they demand respect, forcing the galaxy to accept them as equals? No one could answer, not even humanity itself. In the command center of Project Zeus, the officers stood in silence. They had done what no generation before them had achieved. Yet their victory weighed heavy, for they knew the war was not over. Breaking the chains was only the first step. Beyond Earth stretched a galaxy filled with suspicion, fear, and hatred. Humanity had announced itself with thunder, but what would come next? The commander looked out at the stars. For his people, those lights had always been out of reach. Now, for the first time, they were open. His voice was steady, though the weight of history pressed on him. "The sky belongs to us now," he said. "But what we do with it will decide everything. Back on Earth, the world was already changing. Scientists who once worked in shadows now walked into the light, hailed as heroes. Families reunited with those who had been taken for the project, though many never returned. Streets filled with cheers, songs, and fires that burned into the night. Humanity had suffered in silence for centuries, but now their voices roared. And yet, under the celebrations there was caution. Leaders spoke in secret meetings. Could they withstand another united assault from the galaxy? Could they build more than one Project Zeus? Could they trust that their new power would not consume them? Humanity had awakened, yes, but awakening was only the beginning. The galaxy listened. Traders carried rumors across star systems. Refugees from the destroyed fleet spread fear wherever they landed. Entire planets debated what to do, prepare for war or prepare for peace. Some called for humanity's destruction before they grew, stronger. Others whispered a different truth, that perhaps it was wiser to ally with the storm than to fight it. The choice no longer belonged to the galaxy. It belonged to humanity. For centuries, humans had dreamed of the stars. They had been denied, mocked, and caged. But every denial had only sharpened them. Every chain had only strengthened their will. And now, standing on the edge of infinity, humanity had earned its destiny. The storm was silent for now. Project Zeus rested above Earth, a sentinel watching over the planet. Its lightning dimmed, but the power remained. Every arc of energy, every scar on its armor, every echo of thunder carried one promise. Humanity would not kneel again. The galaxy would remember this day forever. The day when Earth rose. The day when denial became defiance. The day when lightning broke the sky. For humanity was no longer bound. Humanity was no longer silent. Humanity was no longer denied. The humans were starborn now, and the stars themselves trembled.